Every time I saw one of the trailers for this movie, I thought to myself that would be so much better if instead of Led Zeppelin, it had an epic orchestral score. Not that I don't like that song, I love that song, I love Led Zeppelin. I just think an epic score would have sold the fantasy more, you know? That's all I'm saying. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. Yeah, so we got a new movie based off of the iconic role-playing game that's been around for decades. I've played it like once, way back when I was in like middle school or something. I have wanted to get into it though because there are some really cool campaigns out there. I already know what kind of character I would be. I would be a badass archer knight and be awesome. But in any case, we have a new movie starring Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Hugh Grant. Basically, we have a band of thieves, and they're going on their adventure because Hugh Grant is a douchebag. He's gonna do something really bad, so we gotta stop him. Otherwise, this red witch is gonna take over everything. We can't have that happen, so here we go. Keeping it vague for you guys. Honestly, I had a lot of fun with this movie. First off, Chris Pine, I just love the guy, you know? He's like one of the most charismatic actors working today. Because of that swagger he just naturally brings to every character he plays. He kind of reminds me of Jack Sparrow, in that he can talk his way out of any situation that he's gotten himself into just by being charming. I love that about him. And then we have Holga, played by Michelle Rodriguez. Yes, she is the barbarian, she is pretty badass, she is the blunt instrument. I never thought she was the best actress, but I get why she was cast in this role in this movie. She and Chris Pine actually have some pretty good chemistry.
How do we pull that off? Figure it out over a drink?
Probably best.
Then we have Justice Smith as Simon. He's the sorcerer, which I will say this is the first like really good movie that I've seen Justice Smith in. What I liked about his character is that he is insecure. He's like, yeah, I'm a sorcerer, but I'm not the best sorcerer around. You'll probably find better sorcerers out there to help you with your quest. Why'd you choose me of all people? I like that because I would probably behave the same way if I were called upon for a quest. Pretty relatable that way. Finally on this quest, we have Sophia Lillis as Doric. And I was looking forward to seeing her in this movie because she was great in the It movies, and I was looking forward to seeing her career flourish from there, and I thought she was pretty good in this movie. Her character is like Beast Boy from Teen Titans. She can turn into any animal, which is pretty damn useful, not gonna lie. Hugh Grant plays a pretty charismatic antagonist, because he's really nonchalant about what he's doing. He's selfish as hell, oh yeah, he's a prick, which makes him kind of a weasel. He's like the Duke of Wesselton, he's really skittish. He hopes he can get away with his plan, but he's not the smartest tactician out there. I thought he was alright. He was more fun to watch than stoic, emotionless Red Witch Lady. Now, if you don't know me by this point, I love a great medieval fantasy. You know, I love Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, I even love The Green Knight. I've always wanted to go to one of those pubs, you know, those taverns, kick back with their finest ale and watch a pub brawl go down, you know, good times, with music and laughter. This movie had a great fantasy world. Because we got it all, man. We have magic and dragons and dwarves. Oh my. And with the magic, they do establish the rules in place because, you know, magic can really be broken at times, which is actually really smart to make the sorcerer in the party insecure. Because there are times where Michelle Rodriguez is like, can't you just magic our way out of the situation? And Simon will be like, well, no, I'm not that powerful. Yeah, that's smart, I guess. I'll say this movie is very lighthearted in nature. It's not as heavy as Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, that really works for this movie. It plays it up to its strength. There's a lot of humor in this movie, and a lot of it did land with me. I was laughing a lot throughout the entire film. This is a popcorn movie. It's fluff, but it's really fun fluff. It pulls it off really well. All the characters have their funny moments, even the paladin who's like always stone cold serious. There is humor to be had in there because like the other guys are gonna be like, dude, why are you so serious?
I find irony is a blade that cuts he who wields it most especially.
You're not a lot of fun, are you?
It's almost kind of like a parody of those medieval fantasies that take themselves really seriously. Like, I don't know, Monty Python or The Princess Bride. You know, it's an action comedy medieval fantasy. That being said, the action was pretty cool too. I mean, we have dragons and all sorts of magical creatures, including the fattest dragon I have ever seen. And I've heard some people say that the visual effects aren't that great. I thought they were alright. In fact, sometimes I thought they were pretty good. Sometimes the action scenes got a little shaky with the shaky cam. You know, it's a handheld camera and it's going all over the place. I was like, alright, not a huge fan of that. But other times, the action and the visual effects, I thought they were great. That little dragon statue that comes alive and attacks the crew, that was a really good one. It's exciting. The action in this movie is really exciting. The thing that bothered me the most about this movie is that there's a lot of backstory and exposition scenes. So many times, especially in the first half, these characters are explaining their backstory and we get flashbacks. It happened like 5 or 6 times. And I get that it's building up the lore and the story, but it did still bother me after a while. I thought there could have been a smoother way to do it. I'll say I like the music in this movie a lot though. And yeah, there's no Led Zeppelin anywhere in this entire movie. That was only in the trailers. I still have no idea why. Now the score, which was composed by Lorne Balfe, never a bad choice. It was great. It was great medieval fantasy epic score. Surprisingly so, I was like, yeah, this is really boosting up the vibe. This might be one of my favorite Lorne Balfe scores yet. The guy is constantly impressing me with his work. So I gotta give him props for this. Nice job, Sir Balfe. So in the end, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves is a great time at the theater. Bring the whole family, bring the kids. Yeah, it's PG-13, but it's a light PG-13, like Marvel. The characters are a lot of fun, they have great chemistry, the witty dialogue and banter is really funny.
If the existing plan fails, I make a new plan.
So you make plans that fail?
No.
He also plays the lute.
The action is great, it gets a little shaky, the visual effects, they're either great or just okay. The score is awesome, just sometimes the pacing was a bit wonky with the backstory and exposition scenes. They slowed the movie down a little bit for me. But I would not mind seeing this movie again, and I would not mind a sequel. For Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. This is the closest thing I have to a lute. There's a mid-credit scene in this movie which I actually did predict. I was like, is the mid-credit scene gonna be this? And sure enough, I was right, and I was really proud of myself for that. Alright, so Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I know it's not out till Friday, so my question will be, have you played the game? And if you have, how would you suggest I get into it? Or what are your thoughts on the game? What's your favorite thing about it? Or if you don't play the game, then what is your favorite medieval fantasy? Whatever you think about any of that, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace!